Is the samurai genre just 3 good shows and a bunch of dudes screaming about honor while swinging katanas at each other? Absolutely not. There's this whole underground tier of samurai anime that nobody talks about, either because they're too weird, too slow, or because Netflix decided to bury them in the algorithm like they're hiding evidence. Today we're fixing that. You clicked because you want something fresh to watch, and I'm about to ruin your sleep schedule for the next month. Let's get into it. Starting us off at number 10, we've got Carried by the Wind, Tsukikage Ran. And listen, this one's basically if you took the vibe of a lazy Sunday afternoon and gave it a sword license. Ran is this wandering female ronin who just wants to get drunk and mind her business, but her hyperactive martial artist friend, Meow, keeps dragging her into drama. What's wild is how it subverts every expectation. You're waiting for the tragic backstory, the weird sexualization, the whole strong female character who has to prove herself arc. And it just never happens. She's just competent, stoic, slightly annoyed. There's this one episode where she settles a village dispute by basically sighing and cutting one rope. And the way it's animated, the weight of that single cut, hits harder than most anime finales. It's chill, it's funny, and it respects your intelligence. If you need a palate cleanser after some of the heavier stuff coming up, this is your show. At number 9, Angolmois, Record of Mongol Invasion. And I need you to understand something real quick. This isn't about cool sword poses. This is about the actual Mongol invasion of Tsushima in 1274, and it plays more like a war documentary that happens to be animated. The main character, Jinzaburo, is this exiled samurai who has to teach these islanders how to fight off, well, basically the ancient equivalent of a tank division. The Mongols are using gunpowder, mass formations, and actual tactics, while the Japanese are still trying to challenge people to honorable duels. It's brutal watching them realize that chivalry doesn't mean anything when someone's throwing explosives at your face. The siege tactics in this show are actually insane. You can tell the writers did their homework. It's gritty, it's sweaty, and there's this constant feeling that everyone's about to die horribly. Which, historically, they kind of did. So, you know, fun times. Number 8, we've got Onihei. And this one's basically Law and Order feudal Japan. Heizo is the head of the arson and theft control unit in Edo, which is just a fancy way of saying he's the guy who actually deals with crime while the nobles are off writing poetry. What hooked me was the structure. It's episodic, but every episode is this tight little crime story. You've got thieves who aren't evil, just hungry. You've got corrupt officials who are worse than the criminals. And Heizo has this moral code where he'll actually recruit the petty thieves as informants instead of just executing everyone. There's this specific scene in episode 3 where he confronts this gambling ringleader, and the way he switches from this friendly grandfather vibe to terrifying in like half a second, the voice acting is chef's kiss. Plus, the jazz soundtrack shouldn't work for a samurai show, but it absolutely does. It's slick, it's mature, and it's criminal that more people haven't seen it. Actually, real quick, before we get to the heavy hitters, drop a comment if you've even heard of more than 2 of these so far. I'm curious if I'm preaching to the choir, or if I'm about to blow some minds here. Number 7 is Samurai 7. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just 7 Samurai, but with robots? And, okay, yes. But also, no? It's a reimagining where the bandits are these massive cyborg dreadnoughts, and the farmers are hiring actual samurai to fight mechs with katanas. Here's the thing. Instead of just being a shot-for-shot remake, it expands the world. You get to see the capital city, the political corruption, what happens to samurai when they're not needed anymore in a world that's industrializing. The second half goes places the original movie never had time to go. There's this arc with the character Kyuzo that made me put my phone down and just stare at the screen. It's asking questions about class warfare and obsolescence while giant mecha gets sliced in half. It shouldn't work, but it absolutely slaps. Okay, number 6 is where we get nasty. Shigurui Death Frenzy is not for everyone. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's for almost no one, but the people who get it really get it. It starts with a tournament where 2 guys fight with real swords instead of wooden ones, and one's missing an arm while the other is blind. And then it flashes back to show you how they got there. This show hates the concept of honorable Bushido. It portrays feudal Japan as this rotting, decadent nightmare where martial arts schools are basically cults and the masters are senile sadists. The violence is anatomical. Like, you see muscles tear and bones break in ways that make you want to cross your legs. But it's not gratuitous, it's surgical. Every frame is saying, look how disgusting this society was. I watched the first episode at 2 AM and couldn't sleep after. It's art, but it's the kind of art that makes you feel like you need a shower. Halfway point. Number 5 is Peacemaker Kurogane, and this one's a trap. It lures you in with this shonen energy. Kid wants revenge, joins the Shinsengumi, hijinks ensue, and then halfway through, the floor drops out. The tonal shift is actual whiplash. You go from comedy sketches to political assassinations in the streets of Kyoto. Tetsunosuke starts off as this annoying kid you want to shake, and then you watch him realize that the cool samurai he idolizes are basically state-sanctioned executioners. The Ikedaya incident arc in this show portrays what historical trauma actually looks like when a 15-year-old has to process it. It's not pretty, it's not heroic, it's just sad. And that's why it sticks with you. If this sounds like your kind of pain, hit that like button. I need to know who else is messed up enough to enjoy this. At number 4, we've got Basilisk, the Kouga Ninja Scrolls. Imagine Romeo and Juliet, except instead of families, it's ninja clans. And instead of poison, everyone has disgusting supernatural powers and has to kill each other for the shogun's amusement. Genosuke and Oboro are trying to get married to unite their clans, but Tokugawa Ieyasu is like, nah, fight to the death instead. So you've got this proxy war, where the state is just using these people as disposable assets. The action is over the top. People vomiting blood, melting faces, all that. But the tragedy is what lands. There's this moment where they're forced to watch their friends kill each other, knowing they can't stop it without dooming everyone. It's political, it's brutal, and it's weirdly romantic in the most depressing way possible. Number 3 is Blade of the Immortal, specifically the 2019 adaptation, though the 2008 one has its charms too. Manji is cursed with immortality, but here's the twist. He can feel pain. All of it. So every fight is him getting hacked apart and regenerating while screaming. What makes this different from other Immortal protagonist shows is the weapon variety. The villains use these custom, ugly, practical weapons. Hidden scythes, throwing axes, weird chain things, and they're fighting against traditional dojo samurai who are too rigid to adapt. It's tactical. Manji has to outthink people because he can't just tank hits forever without, passing out from agony. The Ito Ryu philosophy, that victory matters more than honor, feels refreshing in a genre obsessed with noble deaths. Also, the body horror is top tier. Like, why is my stomach doing that level of unsettling? Alright, top 2. Number 2 is House of Five Leaves, and I need you to understand, I watched this during a really anxious period in my life last year, and somehow this show about a socially awkward ronin joining a kidnapping ring was the most comforting thing ever. Masanosuke is this incredible swordsman who can't hold a job because he's too timid. He meets Yaichi, this charismatic criminal, and gets drawn into this weird found family of thieves. But there's almost no sword fighting, it's just conversations, silence, the sound of wind. The show looks like a watercolor painting that's been left out in the rain. There's this scene where Masanosuke is just sitting on a porch, and the way the light hits his face while he's contemplating whether he's a good person or not, it wrecked me. It's slow, it's quiet, and if you're looking for non-stop action, skip it. But if you want something that understands what it feels like to be lonely and scared, this is it. And number 1, Hyouge Mono. I saved the weirdest for last. This show is about Furuta Sasuke, a vassal of Oda Nobunaga, who is dangerously obsessed with tea ceremonies. You think you're getting a war anime, and instead you get episodes about ceramic bowls and the philosophy of wabi-sabi. But here's the thing, it's the most tense show on this list. The tea ceremonies are treated like high-stakes poker games. One wrong move with a tea scoop and you're politically ruined. Or dead. The way it portrays the Sengoku period as this clash between military conquest and aesthetic diplomacy is something I've never seen before. Sasuke's internal monologue about wanting a specific tea bowl while watching people get beheaded is darkly hilarious and deeply disturbing. It's 39 episodes of a man having an existential crisis about pottery, and it's a masterpiece. You can't find it on Crunchyroll easily, which is a crime against humanity, but hunt it down, trust me. So there you have it. 10 samurai anime that prove the genre is so much bigger than just hip-hop soundtracks and reverse blade swords. If even one of these ends up in your watch list, I've done my job. Since you clearly have good taste in underrated anime, you absolutely need to check out my video on "These 10 anime characters shouldn't be this powerful." It's right there on screen or in the description.